Hello, everyone. This is Nicholas Peter Ugero, and today I have the pleasure and honor of having back on Nico Zabalza from Lotus Shilajit, LLC. How you doing today?
Excellent, Nicholas. Doing really good.
Awesome, awesome. I'm glad to see that your camera is looking nice and pristine. It's putting mine to shame right now. So you're looking better than ever. How have things been?
Crystal clear. Very, very good, man. Very good. We've we've really made some leaps with the Shilajit, and yeah, I'm really excited the way things are going and the way that I've grown and the way that the business is growing, and yeah, excited to dive into it.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's already been what 7 months since we last spoke. So time has really gone by. Not actually, it doesn't seem like it just went by that quick for me, but 7 months has been a long time for me. But
Yeah,
yes, let's definitely get into it. So I'm going to zoom myself out, give you the floor. I'm going to try to share the screen. Let me know how this goes. I don't know if I need to take myself off this or not. So let's share the screen. Okay, so I look okay, so it's fine. So yes, if you want to go through the new updated website and go through the new product that you guys just came out with, the tablets, which I'm very excited about, as I'm sure some of the people with sissy taste buds are also excited as well. So if you want to just give the rundown, that'd be excellent.
yeah, absolutely. So we've had the pure resin, which is how it just naturally comes from the earth. And we also created the Shilajit tincture with the coconut glycerin, which is super convenient. It's a liquid. But now we also have the tablets, which are amazing. We've had amazing testimonials and reviews. And yeah, people have been buying more tablets than anything else at this point. When we just launched them like a week or so ago. And yeah, they're really excellent. I love them. They're super small, easy to swallow. It's 100% Shilajit, just compressed into a tablet form. There's no binders, no fillers, no preservatives or anything of the sort. Just 100% Shilajit in a little blister packet. I'll show you kind of what it looks like. It looks like this, kind of like a gum pack, or some of my friends call it birth control. And yeah, you just pop it right out. It's really easy. It's like aluminum foil, and then you just have a little tablet. Just pop it in, swallow it, and even without water, you can swallow it. The taste is very limited. Yeah, for most people, it's way more convenient. There's no mess involved since they're in this little packet. They don't, get loose or get on the lid, or you don't have to worry about the glycerin. You just like pour it, or sometimes people, yeah, it's kind of bulky, and the tablets just fit in your pocket, and yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, people love it.
So really quick, just breaking down the tablets for a second. So what if the temperature is really high in your house or your room or something like that? Is that going to affect how, are they going to be really sticky, or are they going to kind of stick to the packet?
No, no, we haven't had that experience. It's easy kind of like to push them out. So even if it does get a little sticky, they come out really easy. They don't like melt at all. And I'm here in Florida, and it's, as hot as it gets. I just had these in the car chilling for a while, and yeah, they come out perfectly. No, even if it's hot, because they have a little less moisture than the regular Shilajit resin, which in the jar,
Mm,
if you leave it tilted or like upside down, it will eventually get on the lid, or through shipping, like people, have to put it right side up, and then it'll even itself out. But yeah, the tablets have no issues with temperature, or anything like that.
okay, so I know that when we were doing our interview last time, we talked about just taking some of the Shilajit and putting it under your tongue to let it dissolve, basically, or break down. So
Yeah.
with the tablets, if it's still 100% Shilajit, why are we able to just swallow it instead of having to, like, put it under your tongue and letting it absorb that way?
It's you can dissolve it. It just has a little less moisture, and they're so compacted that It's not exactly the same as the resin itself that we sell. I think the only real difference is the moisture and the compression, which makes it more solid. And yeah, it still dissolves in water 100%. It just takes a little longer. You might need some warmer water, or you can leave it under your tongue, and it'll dissolve easily. I also put them in my smoothies, and they break up real nice in there also.
Okay, so if I have the like, for instance, obviously the resin, if I have that, so I can also just swallow this too? I don't have to keep it in my mouth at all to let that dissolve?
No, no, you can
Oh, okay.
swallow
Because
it.
I didn't realize that. All right, because my mom was doing that. She was making it a ball and then just doing it that way. I'm like, oh no, you have to have it under your tongue to dissolve. But then when you came out with the tablets, I'm like, we already talked about this last time. So I was always curious about that. So yeah, I guess all right. So she can just roll it up in a ball then. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, sublingually, it does have quicker absorption into the bloodstream just because it is so like, that's just directly under your tongue and it absorbs right in instead of having to like go through your esophagus into your stomach. Even though it bypasses the digestion, like um, when you swallow it, it will absorb before it actually digests.
Okay. Okay. Now that makes sense. So that's good to know. So I know that you guys updated your website as well. So if you want to just break that down too, and just some of the changes. Like, I know that when we did our last interview, you mentioned how there was going to be more transparency with with the the lab testing and stuff like that. So if you just want to break that down and just all the different changes and
Yeah,
just to
absolutely.
guide people through that.
We just got somebody new to do our developing for the website, and he's been doing an incredible job. We got a new tab for recipes on there, and he's adding all the recipes that we have. There should be 12 on there soon. And yeah, as far as the lab tests, they are all on there. Um, our latest one was, I think, batch 55. And in the product page, you can scroll down and see the lab results for the latest batch. And yeah, we test every batch when we get it from Russia. Our last batch actually got thrown away by customs, unfortunately, because of a labeling issue, which we've been getting it with the same label for 3 years, and all of a sudden it was a problem. So they threw it away, but we just got a new batch a few days ago, and we're sending it off for lab testing tomorrow. And yeah, there should be no issues going forward. But yeah, the website is getting very much cleaned up right now. And yeah, it's we had some issues with a spam blocker, and that's all fixed. And our blog is coming along nicely. And yeah, we just re-added free shipping. We were doing free shipping over 44.99 on your orders, but now it's just free shipping all across the board. And right now we are doing a 20% off sale on not just the tablets but everything. But the coupon code is tablets. So for yeah, for anyone that wants to order, you can do that or use. I'm pretty sure you have a affiliate coupon. I don't know. I don't remember exactly what it is, but if you want to shout it out, it'll be 20% off also.
Yeah, because the last time I checked, it was Nick U92, and I had that in my description. But then I was just on the website trying to use it and just to see if it worked, and I don't think it's ever worked. So I I didn't really. I know my friend Lindsay, she has a coupon code. And I know that Carly also did. So I was just putting their links in there or their coupon codes. So so which wasn't a big deal because I mean it's not about the fiat currency for me. It's really just about my personal experience with this product myself and just the benefits I've experienced with it and me just wanting to share it with other people that because like we spoke about last time, a lot of people in the health community I've never they may not even know that this is available. So for me, it's more about the getting it, spreading the message out there, just kind of like what you were talking about at the expos when the
Right.
last time we spoke. It's not really about them even purchasing it. It's just about them inquiring about it and getting more information and seeing the benefits that it can provide people.
Yeah. Not many people still know even what it is, and they're confused about where it comes from or if we make it or if it's just like volcanic ash or something like that. But
Mhm.
yeah, we'll definitely get your coupon working.
Alright, not it's not a problem. I haven't really been it hasn't been a big thing for me, but yes, that'd be great. It's
Absolutely, yeah.
because but, if you wanna just, I love the new design for this label. I just wanna let that be known because I think this is it's just so much I just like it. Like, the other one was nice and clean, the white and black, but then this one's just got the background image and just the font and just the look of it. It looks really nice and clean also and professional. So I really like this new design compared to the other one. And the fact that you're being more open with the lab testing is also great because I have a coworker of mine. He's from India and he already knew about Shilajit when I first brought it up to him. He's like, oh, it's just they put a bunch of chemicals in that stuff and it's this and that. And I'm telling him, like, it's not a one size fits all. Of course, there are people or companies that do stuff like that and, cut it or add some whatever to it, make it cheaper. That doesn't mean it's the same across the board. So, like, I've tried to talk to him about it, but he's just his head's a little firm. So, it is what it is, but, yeah, for the most part, when I talk to people, I've talked to employees about it, I've talked to other people about it, and a lot of people are very interested. I tell them my own personal stuff, biking, like, just now, I was biking with a hoodie on and sweatpants on, and it's pretty hot outside, and I'm sweating my butt off, and I just have some bottles of water, and I put a little pea size of Shilajit in each one, and I'm drinking it, and I still feel hydrated. I just took a shower, I don't feel depleted and lacking energy. I feel still fine. I feel nice and focused. I feel like I have energy. I was totally prepped and ready for this interview. And it's just my personal experience. I'm not trying to shill for people or I mean, I guess technically I am shilling, but it's like I genuinely believe in this product. So going from that, I'm so glad that you guys did the tablets because it was supposed to be out back then when we first
It's
spoke.
been a
So
been a long road, but we're finally on the other side, and like I couldn't be happier, honestly. Like, yeah, because yeah, we had some labeling issues, like I said, with the with our last package, and the FDA wouldn't let us sell the tablets, and it actually took months for them to even get here once they were in the United States or get to us. And yeah, it was a long road, but I'm so happy that we launched them, and yeah, they're in a bunch of stores now, and yeah, people are
ooh,
absolutely loving them.
they're in stores now locally.
Yeah, we're in I want to say over 35 stores now in Florida, Georgia, some, and there's one in like California, Hawaii, Chicago. Yeah, quite a few, and we were kind of waiting to jump into more stores to have the tablets and have the full lineup, and now we're going to be doing a big push to do wholesale as well and get into as many health food stores as we can. Not the big ones, just the little local health food stores that we want to support.
Wow. Talk about being a go-getter. That is fantastic news. Holy cow. Good for you, man. That's very awesome.
Thank you. We have an awesome rep who has a lot of experience, and he goes all over Florida and Georgia and gets it into stores. And yeah, he does demos and stuff. He's amazing, and yeah, we're super grateful for him, and we're gonna be doing the same now with yeah, with what we got. So I'm super excited.
Awesome. Awesome. That's great news. I hope that you have continued success. So that's fantastic. I know that there was one topic that I was asking you about, and you wanted to talk about this. So, in terms of like ancestral diet, being an ex-vegan, and also talking about, well, we'll talk about that first. So, if you want to delve into that, I know that's something that you wanted to speak on while we're doing this interview. So, if you want to just break that down and your experiences being an ex-vegan and just that
Yeah,
kind of process.
yeah, definitely. I'm very much passionate about it, just because
Ooh,
I was a pretty I wasn't a vegan. I was very outspoken about it. I would say it was more for my health and for my own personal values and beliefs at the time. But last year, I kind of realized that my body was very weak and that I was having all these chronic issues with my skin, with my hair, with my digestion, my energy, my nails, my pretty much everything, my joints, especially too. And I realized that I had like very little testosterone, and I think the Sheila G kind of saved me because it does help to balance those hormones, but if you don't have the right diet, it really doesn't do much good. I mean, it does, but it can't like function the way it's supposed to and assimilate those minerals and nutrients. And not to bash any vegans at all, because I am empathetic to everybody's beliefs and compassionate, and I don't feel like there's one size fits all. But for me personally, with my ancestry, uh, this ancestral diet has been extremely beneficial. My health has turned around, my energy levels and my testosterone. Yeah, all of my health issues, especially with my joints and my nails, have really turned around. And I feel the Shilajit more like being more effective, and I'm able to put on more muscles uh, just in general, and be able to work out more consistently. I don't have anxiety like I used to. And yeah, so I've been, for pretty much a year now, been eating a lot of raw dairy, raw eggs, and I mean sometimes I cook eggs also, and um, yeah, like really high quality grass fed regenerative meat, like elk, bison, and beef, and been eating raw cheese, raw honey, fruits, and no seed oils or anything like that. And I started eating organs, incorporating them into my diet. So I have about 3 to 6 ounces of raw liver at least 5 times a week. I just cut it up and put honey and salt on it, and it has a little taste, but it's good. And I'm taking some ancestral supplements like lung, this like uh, men's blend with testicle and prostate and spleen and liver, and then some collagen. So I'm taking really high quality collagen, and I make gelatin gummies. And yeah, my health has completely transformed. My favorite thing every morning is to have this milkshake with raw eggs, raw milk, raw honey, and shilajit, and cinnamon, ginger, and some berries, and some raw organic grass-fed whey protein, and some collagen, and some creatine. And that is like the nectar of the gods. It straight blesses me every day, and it tastes so good. And yeah, I just feel amazing. I actually lost a bunch of weight since I started the diet, and I put on so much muscle. I'm able to consistently work out. While when I was vegan for 5 years, I couldn't really consistently work out because I would hurt myself, or I just didn't have the energy. And yeah, I just couldn't put on muscle. And for some people it works, and for others it really is harmful. And I know from a bunch of my friends that were also vegan that have made this transition in the last year, that they say that it's night and day with their health, especially with their mental health and anxiety. So I definitely recommend that if you feel that you have cravings and you've been vegan for a long time, that you at least incorporate some of these things into your diet, because if you get them from good sources, then it's great. And like, I used to believe that veganism didn't hurt the planet or animals, but that's just not accurate at all. Like, to grow all these different foods like almonds and avocados, they have to like truck bees there and like destroy the entire like thousands of acres that they're planting and kill every animal that goes near it. And yeah, it actually is worse. And the regenerative agriculture for animals is much more sustainable for the planet. And yeah, I'm not, I don't support like factory farming or anything of the sort. But if it's like a decent source of food, then that's what we've lived on and thrived on, and why we were able to, yeah, be the top predators on the planet, and be the most like effective um, animal essentially that survived, because of milk and because of organs. And that was the thing that they sought most, was especially the liver. It was the first thing that they would eat when they hunted an animal. And yeah, if you respect the animal and really appreciate what you're eating. And yeah, there's just nothing as nutrients dense as liver on the planet. It's like the ultimate multivitamin, and you can, if you can't eat it or get it, you can get it in capsules, like freeze dried at least. And my sister happens to have a freeze dryer, so sometimes I freeze dry a bunch and put it in capsules myself. And when I don't have the liver like itself, I take those, and it's excellent. It really, the first time I ate it, like I went from being vegan for 5 years to buying a chunk of raw liver and like a bunch of meat, and like my mom was laughing at me because I was just like staring at it with like bug eyes. I was like, I don't know if I can do this, but I felt the benefits literally that day, and then my body started craving it. And yeah, my entire health and life really turned around. I was, yeah, from where I was mentally and spiritually and even like financially, it really has turned everything around. And I've been able to really dive into my like masculinity. I felt like I was very effeminate as a vegan. And yeah, just with the testosterone and being, you know, like a man and leaning into that. And I joined a men's group by my friend Brendan, who runs Masculine Revival on Instagram. And it's just been really, yeah, a huge complete shift in my life, like completely. And it's allowed me to, yeah, to grow in every realm of myself.
Wow, that's very interesting. I really appreciate you delving into that because I know that on a personal note, the way I'm just looking at just right and wrong, I still fundamentally I still truly do think that it is a wrong action to kill an animal that obviously clearly doesn't want to be killed. If you try to do that, like you'll see that they try to run away and they don't want to be hurt or injured, just like we do. You know, they can feel pain too. So I was also vegan for about 6 months, and I did feel myself degrading. So I did feel like I was not doing something right. There was something obviously that I wasn't doing appropriately, and maybe I just went to it too fast. I just like took things out way too quickly after 27 years, 25 years of eating a certain way and having a certain diet and taking in certain things and then just shifting that so quickly. I feel if maybe I do a really slow process, very slow process, not a year or two, but longer than that, and just slowly do that, I think that I can see how that can work in a sense. But yeah, at this point, I'm still trying to just do harm reduction. That's what I'm trying to do the most I can, the best I can. Just try to buy things locally, like you're saying, like grass fed, regenerative farming, high quality stuff, not where they're just being beaten and tortured, and factory farming and or like factory meat in the factory meat industry, stuff like that. So I definitely appreciate the all the examples. So like getting stuff in capsules, or talking about the honey, or just yeah, just all that stuff, because it is a lot of information, and I still don't know all that there is obviously to know about it to really make the best decision possible. But I am trying to do the Shilajit and just eat more local things and just not be as reliant on the big box stores, of course, doing my own gardening. But yeah, it's a tricky subject, because I know a lot of people can get really you know militarized about it and get super heated. And I don't know how well I would be able to do in terms of killing an animal myself and doing that. I don't know. I feel like I would just go crazy and just feel so bad about it. So it's something that I know some people are just brought up that way. So it's very easy for them to do something like that. But just for me, I'm just very compassionate, like you were. You're a vegan for 5 years. Like, you understand the reasons why you did it and the convictions you had at the time, but your body was telling you something, and you were following that, and feel a difference. You're gaining muscle, your mind's clearer, you don't feel exhausted, you're able to work out all the time. So it really is a subject I need to delve into even more so. And because the way I feel about right and wrong, I just don't feel like it really is a truly right action to take. So I feel like there obviously is something that I'm missing in terms of that mindset, or that knowledge realm. So it's still very interesting, and that's why I'm trying to I have raw milk, I have pasture raised eggs. I'm trying to eat like liver and stuff like that at this moment. So yeah, I still think it's a valuable conversation to have, regardless of where people stand on it, because it's all we're doing is just trying to talk and just convey information to our personal experiences. So there's always more information to learn. So I'm just glad that you're feeling so well. I mean, you definitely look different. You definitely look better than you did just 5, 6 months ago, 7 months ago. So I'm definitely seeing that you are bulking up. You look like you're bigger than I am. So that's also good. Yeah. So moving on from there, uh, prepping, super, super important, especially at this day and age, in my mind. Whether we're talking mentally, spiritually, physically, in terms of food disruptions that I feel are incoming, definitely tyrannical measures, which have already been upon us. So like stuff like meditation, improving health, working out, shadow work, working on your own mental status and how you're doing. So if you want to just break down some of this stuff and just examples that you can think of for people to prepare in any sort of way, I think that would be extremely valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's definitely like, not really helpful to like panic or stress about what's happening, but it is helpful to be aware and to prepare for yourself and for your family. And I think that, yeah, where we're at right now, everything is very, very, very convenient and can just kind of stop in the blink of an eye. And like most people don't think about that most of their food comes from boxes and from the store. And it really is important to have relationships with local farmers and start, if you have any piece of grass in your backyard, that you should at least plant a tree that'll have fruit, or raise chickens, uh, have a little beehive, quails, or maybe make a fish pond or something of the sort. And yeah, learn to ferment, learn to can, learn to have solar powered, have a generator so that you can keep a freezer full of stuff. And I don't want to say like stock up too much, but definitely it does help. Like I know people that buy like half a cow and they have meat for the year, and it's not necessarily because they're prepping, but it's just much cheaper, and then you don't have to worry about going to the store and it being out or anything of the sort. And yeah, it really does help to have that information to know how to forage and go into the woods and in your local area, wherever you are. Like here in Florida, we're pretty blessed with the amount of vegetation and stuff that's around, and even like coconuts and mangoes and mushrooms that grow here in the wild. It's pretty abundant. And even like yams, wild yams that grow in the forest, you can get like 20-pound chunks of potato just from walking around. And there's wild grapes, wild blueberries, all kinds of herbs, all kinds of edible leaves that you can eat, or even learn to like make your own tools out of wood, or yeah, like leather work and things like that might not be available in the future. And yeah, it's just really important to have that awareness and to be prepared in that way, because as much as we want to think that Walmart's always going to be stocked, I mean, I don't shop at Walmart, but people will be surprised with how much goes away if there's not enough corn, like literally, because like most of the stuff comes from corn. And um yeah, or from other countries. And it's really, yeah, it's important to know how to grow your own food and how to raise your own animals. And it's not an easy thing to do at all. And even like how to hunt. So I started doing archery. I haven't gone hunting yet, but I it's definitely on my agenda. And yeah, it's just important to be able to sustain yourself for your family and for the future, because there's facts that like there's 50% like production loss on so many different crops, and then animals, and factories that mysteriously are burning down, and all these different things that, aren't a coincidence, and they are trying to, push a certain agenda and make people eat lab meat and all this stuff. And like, it's just so sad. And luckily, like, the Beyond Meat is stock is like tanking because people are realizing how shitty it is. And um yeah, it's just sad that like Bill Gates is the number one owner of farmland, and yeah, his association is like involved in the government. And yeah, it's not cool. It's not cool. And well, they're up to something. And yeah, you just got to be aware and prepared, and pray for the best, but expect you know expect things to not always go as planned, and to not always have a reliable source of food. And when that happens, you got to have stuff stored, or know how to sustain yourself on what you have around you. And that's why it's very important to have the relationships with the local farmers who can get you eggs, or honey, or milk, or meat, and fruit and vegetables, microgreens, all the stuff that people have nearby. And yeah, like, most farmers markets aren't that packed because most people just are content with what they get frozen at the store, these frozen meals and stuff in a can. And yeah, it's very important to know and to be prepared.
Absolutely. You brought up so many good points right there. So, building relationships with farmers. So, any sort of networking. Excellent, excellent point. That's definitely something I'm trying to do. There's this farm by me. It's all grass farms, and I definitely got to reach out. I got when I next time I go there, I'm going to ask them for an interview or do something, and just to build some sort of bridge and have some sort of connection with them, and also looking for even more local farms because that one's a good distance, and I might not be able to reach that if like things happen. So that's a very good point. Planting fruit trees, excellent, excellent point. Fermenting and canning, talking about food preservation on your own level. If you have any sort of garden already, that's an excellent way to preserve your stuff. Fermenting also helps out your gut. So that's got numerous benefits. Canning removes basically everything. So it's got given pros and cons on each. Chickens, quail, building a pond, that's a really good idea. I wouldn't have even thought about that. So you can attract, wildlife in that sense, buying half a cow, that's super important, especially with the way the dollar is. So if you have the space available, you can and then you have the funds to be able to do such a huge order at once. That's also a very good idea. And I've also seen stuff like where you can build like bury or dig like a big hole in the ground and have like an underground kind of free fridge to where
Yeah.
it stays cooler, so you don't have to worry about the power going out. Because if you buy half a cow and you have the freezer, I'm not too inclined to think that the electricity is always going to be here for us. I
Right.
feel like it's going to be like in pockets in the country that some areas are going to go out. So that's a great idea. Making tools out of wood. I would have never thought about that. So that's also a really good idea. That's very practical. Obviously, hunting and archery, that makes a lot of sense. And then, yeah, just thinking about the production loss in terms of a bunch of areas, like whether it's food or certain food or with animals. And then the factories burning down. Very, very sad. It's very unfortunate. Uh, yeah. So in terms of prepping physically, that's or with food and stuff like that, that's excellent. So in terms of what about mentally and spiritually? So like do you have any sort of ideas on prepping in that sense?
Yeah, definitely. I've been diving a lot into, traditional values and like traditional gender roles, and how much it really helps like the dynamic of life in general, and just having that like nuclear family, and really providing. And yeah, like spiritually, you got to have some sort of spiritual practice and faith to know that even if everything goes haywire, that no matter what happens, like, you have that solidity within you, and that to lean back on, and so you don't lose your mind. And it's very important to, get outside and be in nature and, yeah, connect to the earth, because it really does help to clear your mind and have a balanced system and balanced thoughts and balanced emotions. It's really important to, not be in like blue light all the time and stare at your phones. Get some like red light or some glass, some of those like blue blocking glasses like I have, and yeah, those are dope. I think I have the same ones. And yeah, it's really important that our brains function optimally so that you can handle these situations without you losing your mind and being panicked or too stressed to actually function. And yeah, I would definitely say doing like breath work and getting into nature regularly, getting the sun, so you have optimal levels of vitamin D and all these different hormones and vitamins that it produces within your body. And just being healthy in that way is so important for your mental health and for your brain to just function. And if you're already in a weak, depressed, anxious state, and then something like that happens, like you're not going to be able to do what you need to do to like provide for your family or to support yourself, and to not let it like break you. Because if you yeah, it's something that's not easy. And if something like that happens, like people in the past were much harder, and they didn't have as easy of lives, so it wasn't as big of a leap to like go through something like a war or famine or a crazy pandemic. And now people are so weak and dependent on technology and don't have real social interactions. And it's really important to have a community, um, especially for men, to rely on each other and to help each other, uh, yeah, be accountable and be integral with their lives. And yeah, that's really really important. Just as much as preparing physically, you got to prepare mentally and spiritually for something like that to happen. um, if not, it doesn't really matter what you do physically, you still won't be effective in living in that state. And yeah, as a man, you want to be, strong and not fall to the chaos. So you want to lead. And yeah, it's really important that you have a community locally where if something happens and you can't access the internet, that you have people that you can rely on for trade with, or just socially interact with, because we are very much social creatures and we need that type of stimulation and aid in our life. So yeah, that's all extremely valuable.
That's great. That is very great. So that's a lot of good stuff too. Traditional gender roles. So just just understanding that men, we have to be the ones that are the protectors. We have to be the ones that stand on principle, do the right thing because it's the right thing to do, and not give in. Have that conviction, have that understanding. And when you're talking about spirituality, that's totally necessary. We can't just think in the 3D, like this is all there is. And that my body is the end all be all. There's not when I die, it's just gonna be black and that's it. Like, it's just darkness or whatever. That we are more than what we can see. That's why we have the ultraviolet above the violet light spectrum, and then infrared. Like we can only see so much. So I mean, just think about what we could see if we had eyes that could see those different spectrums. Like just think about that. Like just what we see as reality through our perception. It's like that's not it. That's not what truth is. That's just our perception of what truth is, and it's coming to the understanding. And spirituality is so important in this aspect because I don't know if you're just in the 3D, like that's going to be a very hard thing to deal with when things start going in a way that's not something that you're expecting. If you're expecting just the dollar to be around forever or the Walmart to be stocked up like you were saying forever, it's not going to happen. It's
Yeah.
unfortunate because like the writing's on the wall and It's not looking very pretty. And when you're talking about like blue light glasses, that's also very important because the amount of stimulus that I'm getting right now, the sun's already down. It's 7:48. The sun's down. I should be producing melatonin right now, but I'm getting blasted by this huge bright light just so I have good lighting here. And realistically, I should be wearing those glasses right now, but I look like a little bit of a queer, so I'm not going to do that right now just for just the way I look. So I'm choosing not to do that. But I mean, my eyes definitely can feel that. I feel definitely it's more like hyperactive in that sense, and it's not how we should be. We should be having low lights, like you're talking about, red lights at nighttime, just to wind down naturally, like we should be doing, like the animals do, unless they're nocturnal animals. So that's a very good point. Breath work is super important. It's clearly known, at least to me, that if you do a lot of breath work or taking deep breaths, we do a lot of shallow breathing as people nowadays. We do a lot of shallow breathing. Try breathing in consistently for like 4 seconds with a deep breath and see how uncomfortable that is for you. So we have a lot of air that's stale. We're not completely emptying out our lungs. So just constantly being mindful of that. I still am mindful of that. I don't do it all the time, but I catch myself a lot not breathing deeply. So it doesn't have to be where you're closing your eyes and you're in Zen mode. You can just be driving and just, realizing that you're not breathing deeply and just start doing that. It calms you down. I do that when I'm stressed out. So that's very, very good to state. Staying grounded, so putting your bare feet in the ground, it's a great way to help out your health in general. So your health is your true wealth, because it doesn't matter how much stuff you have. If you're not fit to do anything, what are you going to do? If you can't even climb a fence or you can't do anything, you're not going to be much of help to people. Going to forests, getting negative ions, I went to the Lake Michigan, not in Chicago, but somewhere else. Because obviously there's a lot more beach than just there. And, I swam for the first time in years because I've been avoiding chlorine. So like, I felt great when I went there. That was really, really good. It helped release a lot of stress. And when you talk about being stressed and basically overworked while crap hits the fan, exactly. Like I mentioned that last year when I did my video about my porn addiction and I was bawling my eyes out on the camera. At the end, I said, we have to, like, I can't imagine going through this stuff that I was going through when things are really bad. So if we don't do any sort of work internally on our own for ourselves to help our emotional state, put more, like I say, like a broken record, add more tools to our mental toolbox, we're not going to be prepared at all. It doesn't matter how much stuff you had, like you said. It doesn't matter how much stuff you have. If you're not mentally there all the way and you have already had a hard time dealing with someone driving slow on the road and you're going to go all crazy and start cut them off and go on the shoulder and do all stuff, like imagine when stuff gets really bad and you don't have your air conditioning for a week or something like that, or your power goes out, or you can't buy your diapers for your child, and you're going to get, who knows how you're going to react. So that's something to really be mindful of, because that's super important. It doesn't matter how much stuff you have. If you're not resourceful, so stuff like dumpster diving, easily, Aldi is it's a treasure trove. You're always going to get avocados, bananas, tomatoes. They throw out like bananas when they're just turning yellow because they're that stupid.
Uh,
I used to work at Aldi, so they suck in terms of throwing stuff out, but it'll be good for you, especially when it's getting colder out.
yeah,
At least in my climate, it's going to be a lot of good preserved food. So doing dumpster diving,
yeah,
that's a really good thing to mentally prepare, because if you get used to doing that stuff, you'll know where to go. You'll know good places to go, and some places are more consistent than others, so you'll know that stuff. That's really good information. Another way to mentally prepare is maybe think about this, like a week of just eating canned food, just to have that experience. Like I did this for a week, or if it's a scorching week where you live, turn off the AC for a week. See how well you can handle and acclimate to that. Or if it's really cold out, try not having the heat on for a bit, or turning it like a lot lower so that it gets really cold in your house, and just mentally prepare it in that sense, because you can turn it on whenever you want. But if it gets to the point where you can't do that, well, now at least you have that past experience to not be as stifled, or like your foundation is not going to be as rocky, because you have that already in your past as something that you've gone through. Men's groups, that's another great point. Strength in numbers. I mean, we have to be also strong within ourselves too. But having like-minded people that are really trying to fight for something, that's obviously extremely important. Local community, I got to start doing that more. I'm dropping the ball on that. People to barter with, already having, like you're saying, like in terms of connections with farmers and all that stuff. because the dollar is going to go down at some point, who knows when, but being able to like say, hey, at some point, can I barter with you if I give you a certain amount of silver? Can you give me some food, whatever else, whatever it may be? So that's all extremely important. And yeah, just the spiritual and the physical aspect, just working out, just exercising. Can you even climb a fence? Can you do anything? Can you like like just think about anything like that? Just being physically prepared also is very great. And so like going on the forest, doing a nice hike, going barefoot, going on a bike ride like I do, or whatever it may be, doing just some push-ups when you wake up. Just do stuff that's a little bit out of your, just slowly, gradually build up from there, and just try to build up your stamina, your strength, because then that'll help you out in any circumstance, whether you have to forage for food, like you're talking about. If you go to the forest and start foraging, if you have a lot more stamina, you're going to be a lot better off doing that stuff. You're not going to be exhausted. You're going to be able to do that and get a lot of stuff. And uh, also buying books for your local area where they tell you like edible stuff that's around your region, so that, and then you can identify those things. So
Yeah,
that can also be kind of like a cheat sheet.
definitely.
So you go around certain forest preserves or whatever.
Definitely.
And there was a gentleman, M. Marquez, if I'm saying that correctly. I appreciate you watching, my friend. Hi, Nico. Would you mind explaining a little bit the batch information and give us some quick explanation about the result values, etc.? What's the difference between moisture versus solid? So he's referring obviously to your lab results.
Yeah. So the the batches are basically the different shipments of Shilajit we get in, because even though if they come from the same source, we just want to make sure that they're up to par with our standards. So we test for bacteria, yeast, pH, moisture, and fulvic and humic acid. Um, I think if you go to the product, the product page, it should be on there, the newest one, because I don't think we updated the ones on the homepage. Um, but the moisture is basically how much water is in the Shilajit. So a lot of companies water their Shilajit down, so you're getting less Shilajit per gram. We ask for the least moisture that they can provide, because it's actually much easier to to package for us. And yeah, it makes it much easier, but you're also getting more Shilajit per gram, and that's what it means by the moisture is solid.
Perfect. Thank you for that, and thank you for the question. That was awesome. So yeah, because I was a little confused on that too. So that's great to know. Okay, so just moving on from there, I know we're already at 47 minutes. Holy moly! So we got thoughts on the direction things are going in the world, because I know it's been over half a year since we last spoke. Are you optimistic, or are you a little bit more wary about what's going on, or do you think things are going in a decent direction?
You know, I don't really think that at any point in time things have been going in a really good direction. Like things just go, like I don't think that life here is necessarily meant to be good or easy or particularly, simple in that way. I think I'm always optimistic just because, my experience so far has been that even though whatever comes my way, I'll know that I'll make the most of it. So even if there is some crazy event, I mean, even like the pandemic, which completely shut down both of my businesses, and I didn't know what to do, and I couldn't go outside, and like, things were awful. I couldn't go to my parents' house and all this stuff. It, yeah, I made the most of it. And I was, we made it out fine, and I'm resourceful. So that's, I think, the most important thing is just to be optimistic and resourceful, because if you, if you're constantly stressed or worried, like I know people that have been prepping since since 10 years ago, and they have bunkers and all this stuff, and they're armed to the teeth, and they're ready to pretty much do anything, but that has consumed their entire life to the point where they're not really living, they're just preparing and hoping. At the end of the day, you're hoping something happens because you put so much effort into preparing for it. And I think that, nothing is really as bad as it actually seems. And they, because of the media and the being the way it is, I think that they aim to make us as fearful and concerned as possible about how much power they have and how much, they like how much power they have and how much the harm they're going to be able to do and like the direction that the world is going in. But a lot of people say like, I don't want to have kids because the world is so fucked up. And it's like, the world has never been like an easy place to have children. They're like in World War I or World War II or like the past 60 years, like it hasn't been like it hasn't been chill ever. And even before that, it was worse, like where they didn't have the conveniences that we do now. And I think that, yeah, because people rely on these things, that it'll be more challenging for people to not have them if everything hits the fan. But at the end of the day, if you just have like the right attitude, no matter what happens around you, you can really come forth with success and make the most of it. Because yeah, there's so many inspiring stories of people that went through incredible hardships and like unimaginable things that, yeah, and they came out of it stronger and better. And they just, every day was a challenge, but every day they were happy to be alive, and they did what they had to do in order to make it another day. And I think that's the most important thing, is to not really dwell too much on all the negative, and realize that there's a reason why they want us to think that they have all this power and all this, yeah, all these things that could go wrong and seemingly are going wrong. But at the end of the day, people are people, and like the vast majority of people are good people. They just want to like raise their families and have a good life, and they're not necessarily, yeah, there's not like this massive operation to like ruin everybody's life. And in my opinion, I think it's just more of people that are power hungry and want us to think that they have all the power, when in reality that's what they want us to think. And even though they seemingly do, and in a lot of ways they have a lot of influence because of the media and because of the positions of government that they have, um, at the end of the day, we can rely on ourselves and our community to make it through whatever happens.
Yeah, that's some very good points there. As always, I mean, you're rocking it today. Holy cow. Um, so when you're talking about, yeah, people putting like you said, some people that have been prepping for a long time and they have a lot of stuff set up and they put so much energy into prepping that some of them hope or like banking on hoping that something happens because they put so much energy into it. And I think it's really, in terms of like anything, it's a fine line. You don't want to be completely consumed by this to where your every waking moment is just having that like anxiety, like, am I doing enough? Am I doing enough? Like, I still need to get this. I still need to get that. Cause I can find myself in that state of mind where I know that, yes, I have probably like 7 or 8 of these things and I'm feeling pretty good. And I want to get more of them just to take off some and give it to somebody or whatever, barter or whatever. And I know it's good for gardening as well. So it's got multiple benefits. It's good for pets, you name it. So like I'm still trying to stock up on that, but I still need to get other things like bullets and whatever else. So it's but yeah, I can find myself being a little too into that space. And it's all about having that balance. You obviously still want to have some sort of enjoyment. Like what's something that you find fulfilling? Whether it's like you're bringing up before, going out in nature and doing stuff like that, just kind of resetting, finding that focus and being alone with your thoughts and thinking about your purpose, what you really want to do. So I think it's obviously, yeah, great. I'm a prepper. So, but I'm not just trying to take it all the way to that extreme to where that's all I'm thinking about and that's all I am about. So, in terms of overestimating their power, I think that to an extent that is definitely true. A lot of people just think they're all knowing, they're omniscient. There's nothing that we can do to stop them. Whatever else, it's a lost cause, and that puts people in a inaction like phase. And then we have people that I know personally that underestimate their power and what's really going on, and so they're also in inaction because they think, oh well, what's going to happen, like
Yeah.
what, like so they don't think there's going to be a food crisis. They don't think X or Y or Z is going to happen, so then they're not prepping at all, and they're putting themselves in a predicament that they're not fully aware of, and it's not going to be pretty. So I think that's also a fine line, just like with anything. So we can I don't want to, because I know that these guys they really know psychology to a great extent. They've probably done the studies, and they've obviously seen the studies. They've done their homework. They have a totally different education system than we do. They have a lot of knowledge about psychology, and they have a lot of knowledge about the way that the universe functions and the laws that are in place, whether it's gravity or whatever you want to call it, or just like natural law, just like right and wrong. They understand like karma and just how the way that works, which is why they have order followers like the police and military do their bidding for them, because they're the ones committing the actions. They're really not. So they get a lot less of that brunt of karma for them. So I know that these guys have a lot of information and they're very knowledgeable, and they are psychos, definitely, and they are power hungry. They just like controlling people. They don't really love themselves because of their upbringing, whatever trauma they experienced in their lives, whether it's sexual abuse or just physical abuse, whatever it may be, these generational families. And I know it's definitely not just government. It's like the world banks, it's the corporations, it's these secret societies, and a lot of people that we don't even know the names of. So it's definitely, it runs deeper than just government. But we still don't want to completely overestimate their power to where we're just at a standstill. Like I can find myself in that state, like, because in my mind they'd have to be Three Stooges level of imbecile in order to fail at what they're trying to accomplish, because they have the cash, they have the funding, obviously, they have the tech, they have the knowledge about the self that we don't, that most people choose to not learn. They choose to just watch stuff that just passes the time and passes the day, doesn't really trigger any sort of neurons in their brain to function. So I just think that they'd have to be absolutely stupid to fail. So hopefully they are that stupid and they overplay their hand, they overstep the bounds, and people just say, okay, F this crap. I'm done with this. You guys lost, whatever. I know what my rights are. You don't have any more power than us. So I hope that happens. I hope they fumble like a bunch of morons and trip over their tied shoelaces and then just fail. I hope that's the case. But I'm trying to also be realistic about it and not underestimate them. I know that these guys have been succeeding for the most part, committing war crimes, and no one's held accountable. All these corporations do all this bad stuff, false advertising, whatever, and then nothing happens. They just get a little slap on the wrist with a fine. So like people have been not held accountable for so long. So I hope that they do at some point. But we have to stand up. Like you're talking about the masculinity, going back to our roots. What are our foundational principles? What are we standing up for? What do we even know what a right is?
Right.
It's an action you can take that doesn't cause harm to another sentient being. So we have to understand these basic fundamental principles in order to even know what we're defending or fighting against. So that's extremely important. And then when you're when you're talking about the world, it's never been chill. I thought that was hilarious. And then when you say people don't want kids because of the state of the world, I'm personally kind of in that camp because I feel like with a pet, like I don't have a pet. Once my dogs passed away, I didn't get another dog because I wanted to be able to provide them with the best quality, especially with the knowledge I was gaining at the time or since then, since they passed away. Um, so like that's why I don't have a pet. So I just been wanting to provide the best, and I would want to do that with my kids. And then just knowing the way the state of the world, like basically exactly what you're saying. So I'm in that camp, but I do know that they don't want us to have kids. I do know that they want us to not be as populated on the planet as we currently are. They want to, whatever they're going to do, starve us out so that we're dependent or whatever it may be. And like obviously the injection, that's another big, huge thing. Because I know that there's someone on here. His name is Mandatory Myocarditis. So like he commented earlier, and I thought that name was sad but hilarious. Um, but I do know that they want us to not have kids, and that's why so many things are disrupting our hormones, whether it's the BPA or all these chemicals and yada yada yada. So I know that they don't want us to have kids. So I really, really probably should still, like I'm on the fence. I do know that we should be having kids and just especially with my knowledge. Like, I'm not gonna like smack my kids around. I'm not just gonna tell them what to do because I said so. I'm gonna try to raise them up and be the example, not just do what I say, but like just see my example and just follow my lead because you see that it's the right thing to do, not
Right.
just coercing them or doing the reward and punishment stuff. So I know I'll try to do my best, of course, and I know I'll do a lot better than some people or most people. Try to feed them the best, teach them how to garden, all that stuff. So it definitely is important, and that's definitely something that if people are on the fence about it or they don't want kids, really just stop and think about it because, like you said, there's people had kids during the Great Depression, people had kids during World War I and World War II, and I would have thought that would have been the end times if I was alive at that time, just seeing everything that was going on or hearing the mainstream media and all that stuff that was happening at the time. I would have thought that was the end of days with how
That,
crazy everything was.
I think one of the best things to prepare is to have kids and raise them right, because then it's like that's the next generation. That's where things are going. If the good people stop having children, then there won't be good children for the future. And so like that's one of my main goals is to have a large family, at least to at least leave something here that is good for the world, not just my business or my words or my actions. Like actually have leave someone here that can be an example and be a decent human being. And yeah, one of the things I also you mentioned was like, hopefully they fumble and stuff. And I think a really excellent quote I heard, or I don't know the exact quote, but it was pretty much saying that the reason that evil never prevails is because eventually they all turn on each other. And so that's why eventually, yeah, they're like evil doesn't have requisites. Like they turn on each other because they're evil. So like the evilness doesn't just go to the people that they want to conquer, it also goes to each other because they're power hungry, and eventually like the son hates the father, or the father hate or the brother hates the brother, or the brother hates the parent, and all this stuff. And it's yeah, that's one thing that we can always count on, is that they will turn on each other.
That's a good point, and that's definitely something to keep in mind. So I really do hope that they do, because that makes sense to me. Because it's like no, there's no honor among thieves for the most part. Like right now they are on like the same type of team. They have overall the same agenda, but obviously there's different factions at play. But they're like a gang. You don't see gangs saying, "Oh, my buddy got shot up. I'm gonna call the cops on them." No, they're not gonna just spill the apple cart and ruin the whole game for everybody. So they're not gonna, like, obviously a lot of these people are into very young people, into very young boys and girls, and there's documentation on that stuff. Whether
Yeah.
it's Ronald Reagan and George Bush Sr. during that was the Franklin scandal, Franklin cover up. There's examples of this stuff. So I mean, the left could be talking about the right, but then they know that they're also guilty, so they're not talking about a lot of this stuff. They're not gonna turn on each other at this point with that type of scenario. But yeah, hopefully, yeah, as things proceed on, hopefully something like that happens where they just start screwing each other over in a overt way that really just ruins the whole agenda. That'd be fantastic. But we also just I'm not going to bank on that. I'm not going to be like a QAnon person and just say, okay, these white hats are going to come in and save us.
Oh yeah.
That's gonna be super cool. I can't wait. Grab the popcorn, enjoy the show. So
Oh,
I'm trying to still do things in my own life. I know that I'm not perfect. I'm still sometimes gaming, and I've been slacking a little bit on doing my room. I should, if I didn't have this blurry filter, I could just show you how much of a disaster my room is. Like just not being organized, and like there's still stuff I gotta totally do. I'm not on any sort of high horse. I still have a lot of issues I gotta work on, and just things I gotta continue to improve, be committed. Have that because I know how things are going. So I gotta be serious still. I gotta be more consistent and just have that willpower and that drive and just understand that I find fulfillment in doing this stuff, not just wasting away my time. That's why I get so much anxiety playing games or doing stuff that it's not fulfilling for me because my body's telling me this. I already know what's good for me and what's not, what's really good for my soul and what's good for my lifestyle and my well-being and my mindset, and what's not helping me out, what's keeping me stagnant. So we just got to be hopeful, optimistic, but be realistic at the same time, and then just continue to make small changes. You know, like my porn addiction, I stopped that immediately, but a lot of things you have to wean off of it because it's just been so ingrained for people for so long. So it's good to just take day by day and just, you know, get a little bit better, you know, build some momentum. Don't burn yourself out and just continue to improve. And just like with you, you've made a lot of good changes, and you're learning skills, and you're doing things, that are fulfilling. You're successful in your business, and you're trying to do the right thing, and it's all very important. So we just have to have a balanced mindset. Don't take things to such extremes. But moving on from there, if you have any sort of book recommendations for health-minded or freedom-minded people, anything that stood out to you recently or in the past, anything that's inspired you in that sense, any sort of good resources that you have?
Yeah, really, well, I've recently been, because I'm in this men's group, I've been reading a lot of the books that the the guy who created it recommends. Like, I read this one recently. It's called "It's Good to Be a Man," and it's kind of like about biblical masculinity, and it's really really amazing to kind of dive into. And then also this one called "The Way of the Superior Man," which really helps to kind of put the dynamics of like life in general and how we can be. And I think that kind of really helps with everything in general, because I'm just trying to be the best I can be, and that's all I can really do, for the world and for myself. And I think that diving into like who we are and like what we were born to be and embodying that is the most important thing that we can do. um yeah and yeah, that's all I got right now. But yeah, I definitely recommend like looking into foraging books, gardening books, like home birthing, animal raising. um yeah, our friend Carly is doing this amazing bundle right now called the Off-Grid Bundle, and I definitely recommend checking that out. It's only $50, and you get like I think 140 ebooks, and it's worth over like $6,000 if you were to get everything. And it has everything from like raising chickens, canning, fermenting, natural health, like herbal medicine, homesteading, permaculture, and yeah, everything that's really just valuable and that our ancestors worked on for thousands of years to perfect and to like have a flourishing society without the technology that we have today. And I think that that's the most important thing, and they were very much in tune with their role in society and their role in their marriage and in the family. And um yeah, it's just so important to like embody those things, because if you like, the saying goes, if you don't stand for anything, you'll fall for, or if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And so I just, yeah, anything of that nature, I definitely recommend to dive into.
Yes, absolutely. And so I definitely appreciate those resources. So that's great. I'm just gonna try to get this link because I know you just mentioned the off-grid bundle. So I'm trying to I pasted the wrong link into the comments. So there we go. For people that are interested, it's only for a couple more days. Luckily, I know my friend Lindsay, and so she has that bundle. So, and she was actually at her work. She was able to print out all the papers and
Wow,
all this stuff. So and it's like in color, and it looks so. She took a few hours to do that, I guess. So, um,
that's awesome.
yeah, and it really is only $50. My friend Nick Landry, he also just purchased it. So I can't imagine having to buy all that stuff individually. Like just a few of
Right,
those things would be $50.
right, yeah,
So
amazing, honestly. And
yeah.
the one other book I got recently, is 12 Rules for Life by or 12 Rules for Life.
Oh, wait a second. If you're kind of cut out, give me 1 second. Can you just repeat that book for me?
Yeah, it's called 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson. And yeah, I love. I love Jordan Peterson. He just puts everything so eloquently and so effective. And it just really, it's like, yeah, an amazing resource. And I have this whole bookshelf, so I could definitely, but, um, yeah, I mean, I've been reading a lot into the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita, and for my spirituality, and uh, yeah, there's so much obviously excellent information and just inspiration from both.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I definitely know that the Bible, like I'm wishy-washy on the Bible. I know that there's obviously like the Council of Nicaea. I know that it's been translated multiple times. I know that there's definitely some good solid information in there, good solid truths in there, but at the
Yeah,
same time I take a lot of the stuff with a grain of salt. I know that we need to act the way that Jesus did. Absolutely. Like he's obviously died for what he knew to be right. And he didn't, he wasn't bound by just like the 3D. He understood that there's obviously more beyond this. It's being a martyr, just standing up for what's right, regardless of the 3D consequences, whatever is going to happen here. So, and then, he was very open. He took so many people in. He was just trying to teach people and just do the right thing. So it's
yeah,
regardless of whether he's real or not, I think just trying your best to be that, like lead by example. That's what true leaders are. They're not people that just tell you what to do and make decisions for you, but they, lead by example. They just exude that kind of, you know, the way like that, whatever that mindset or whatever there is that they're talking about. They just live it too. So it's
yeah,
just being the example.
yeah. Definitely read between the lines. Like, there's a lot that's just strange, but yeah, if you apply it to yourself and like what take it with, like you said, with a grain of salt, it really can be effective for a life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that there was one more thing we were going to talk about top things for people to be healthier. I mean, we already kind of touched on that, but if you have any like examples or things that maybe you didn't think about before, if you want to just lay some things out, just tips on people to be healthier.
Yeah. Well, definitely, I would say, like you were talking about the breathing, that's like so important and something that me and my business partner Christian got into many many years ago, probably like 8 or 9 years ago. And there was this doctor who studied breathing for his whole career, and essentially found the most optimal way to breathe for our bodies is essentially how a baby is like naturally breathes, a healthy baby. And that most people take like 25 to 40 breaths per minute, and ideally you want to take 4 to 7 breaths per minute. And that means you're like inhaling for about 5 seconds, 4 to 5 seconds, and exhaling for 9 to 11 seconds. And we did that for a while, and it actually became so ingrained, and I kind of got obsessed with it. And I actually counted every conscious breath I took for over a month, and it kind of like drove me a little nuts, honestly. But eventually, like, I breathe like that. If I'm ever feeling any uneasiness, I'm like, oh, I'm not breathing right. And so that's like, I think the foundation of your state of being is definitely your breath. And then from there, your the quality of water that you have. So I drink like local spring water, which is awesome. Or if you have distilled water, then add some minerals back into it. Don't be drinking alkaline water. I don't think that that's like good, because yeah, spring water is mostly naturally alkaline, and what they do to alkaline water is just put it through these ionic plates, which raise the alkalinity, but it doesn't. The reason that water is alkaline is because it has minerals, so it kind of tricks your body into thinking you're getting these minerals, but you're actually not. And so unless it has minerals added to it, which are also questionable, then I wouldn't drink just like regular alkaline water. Definitely stick to spring water. And then food wise, like as organic as possible, clean, local, regenerative, nutrient dense, and make sure there's no seed oils, nothing like that, and try to limit corn and soy as much as possible, because even if it's organic, there's a good chance that it's contaminated with GMO. And yeah, and then from there, exercise. Like, it's so important to at least walk or do some sort of hour of exercise, and then be grounded. Go on a Yeah, put your feet in the dirt. Go to the beach. Go to the forest. Go swimming in the lake. Just sit in the sun. Get the sun on you. Um, yeah, try to wake up with the sunrise. Go to bed at a reasonable hour. Get enough sleep. So important. And then, yeah, try to limit how much you're on the phone, how much you're staring at a screen at night. Wear those blue blocking glasses, or get some red light or something. And yeah, just you gotta, like, mentally, you gotta do something that inspires you, like a hobby, or if you have like a monotonous job or something like that, make sure that there's something in your life that you're passionate about, and that you have a mission. It's so important to have a mission in life, and to not just rely on, yeah, like Instagram or these things for your entertainment and for your like dopamine. Like, you got to get your dopamine from something real. And yeah, I think that is that's what I have to say about that. And then I think, like, eating organs is the most important thing for that you can do. It's the most nutrient dense stuff, like oysters and eggs and dairy, like raw dairy and eggs, and definitely Shilajit. Take some good, get that ancient juice in you from the earth. And yeah, it helps everything to assimilate. I think that there's something about it, and then that there's like a reason that we're like it's resurfacing and becoming popular now, is because so many people are mineral deficient and lacking in this, like, hormone balance, and are so toxic in their bodies. And it helps to naturally, like, detoxify. And it does something to, like, your DNA, since it's so ancient, it's millions of years old. I think that it really does have a blueprint of life, and it's kind of like fertilizer for humans in many ways. And it just comes from the mountains, which are so powerful energetically and physically, and they can't be tamed, and it just naturally comes out. And there's no, like, risks involved. It's completely safe, and it's just like drinking water, essentially. It's eating food. Like, it's a magical thing. And then definitely recommend, like, taking herbs, and finding a really good herbalist, or finding your constitution and seeing where you're weak, and try to work on balancing your weaknesses. And everybody has different ones, and you can see, like, some herbalists or chiropractors, they can some herbalists or chiropractors or practitioners can look at your tongue or your eyes, or even, like, do acupressure on your hands, and tell that, oh, like when I go to my herbalist, her name's Joanna Helms, and she's one of the best herbalists in the world, and she happens to be like 10 minutes from me. I've been going to her for over 6 years now, and she'll just be doing this, like, acupressure on my hands, and she's like, oh, you have, like, an imbalance in your lower intestine. And I'm just like, what? Like, how do you know that? And then she looks at my tongue, and she's like, oh, you're a bit damp and cold. And I'm like, I guess so. And so she gives me herbs to balance that out. And that's also, crucial. And yeah, definitely, there's some really cool, like, biohacking stuff, like infrared saunas that my business partner has at his house where we work. And so sometimes I'll just jump in there and It's amazing. And then like the red lights, you know, my friend recently got like an ozone machine that's really cool. Doing ice baths sometimes, like I don't think it's good to do it for extended periods of time, and it's not good to do it right after you work out. But in the morning, I take a cold shower and it's like a cup of coffee. It feels amazing, and it like really regulates your body and helps you, yeah, like lift up your energy because your body's working to like warm itself. And yeah, then having some sort of faith and spiritual practice, and some sort of meditation, whatever it is for you, if it's like reading the Bible, or if it's praying, or doing some shamanic drumming or something, just do it on a regular basis, or play music. And yeah, just make sure you have like a well-rounded health, and not just physically, or not just with your food. And make sure that you feel good, and if you have cravings, that you really figure out why and what you need.
Yeah, that's you brought up a lot of good points that you didn't mention before. So like in terms of especially ozone, I I purchased one a year or two ago, and I misplaced it when we were doing our move to this new location, and I was really upset about it. But then I finally got it back. So ozone is tremendous. It is very very good for you. It's good for your also your brain, helps with detoxing as well. It helps with your immune system, your brain health. There's a lot of benefits if you look up just ozone in general. And this one has like an air tube and an air stone, so I can put it in water, and it's good for cleaning your vegetables too. So if you ozone your water, throw that stuff in there for wait about like I don't know 10-20 minutes, it'll destroy like get rid of the pesticides, remove a lot of that bacteria that's sitting on the fruits and vegetables, and that's what makes them decompose. They help that process along. So if you use an ozone generator, your fruit and vegetables will last longer too. And it also can be used for your air. So obviously you don't want to be in the location for the most part while it's doing it, because you don't want to really breathe it in too much. But uh, just it's good for air purifying. It's just good to. I always have like a cup, a glass of water, and I put that in there at the beginning of the day on an empty stomach, and I take that. So I've definitely noticed an improvement using that. And then obviously Shilajit at the same time. I just bought an inversion table where you lock your feet and then it puts you upside down. So that
Nice.
helps with the spine decompression. It's good because like obviously we're sitting down for so long. I've felt like my legs kind of build a lot of blood up, and like just going upside down for a minute or two, and I just feel it in my head. And just yeah, I definitely feel decompression in my spine. I definitely feel like my posture is just naturally improved, where I don't feel weird standing up straight. I don't feel like I'm like Superman trying to be all cocky or whatever. I feel like this is more of a normal, natural position for me. So I've definitely noticed a difference. It's been less than a week. So I've been doing that twice a day. So that's just something that I personally bought. And I think that's very, very valuable because I definitely have spine issues. I have, what is it, where your spine's a little curved? I forgot what that is called. But yeah, that's something that I personally am using. I'm trying to have my friends and family use it. I think it's very valuable because I'm definitely sitting here doing editing and I'm kind of scrunched forward. My sternum cracks sometimes when I'm doing like a little stretch because of how I'm sitting forward. My shoulders are hunched forward and stuff like that. So yeah, that's very valuable. And I think it's a great point to end this on. I definitely appreciate all the information that you provided today, and I'm so glad that you're doing so well in terms of the business and your health and just the mindset. Oh, and I know that you're probably definitely prepping. I forgot to ask you about the food forest and all that stuff because you definitely have a lot of information in terms of gardening. So actually, yeah, talk a little bit about that really quick. I wanted you to talk about food forest really quick. So because I know that you have a lot of information with gardening. So any sort of like tips or tricks, whatever good techniques that you found, anything like that.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say, like research where you're at, like here in Florida, pretty tropical. There's a wide variety of things we can grow, and we're kind of on the border, so you can also grow things from up north pretty easily. Not everything. A lot of things require the frost, but here, like making sure that the soil is good by building it. Don't just like don't till the soil, just add stuff to it is the main thing. Like at this place that I volunteered at, they got like lake muck and put it like they just scooped it from the bottom of a lake and then put it on the ground, and all these different plants that they grow to chop. They're called like chop and drop plants. So you just like grow them to chop them and then lay them out. And then as they decompose, they build the soil drastically. And my friends here have a lot of the hugel culture, which is basically just putting down logs and then plant matter and compost and all this stuff. And then on top of that, putting the trees and the plants so that as the logs and stuff decomposes underneath it, like naturally releases these nutrients and mycelium. And it's definitely important to have a healthy web of mycelium in the soil that builds nutrients and helps the trees to communicate and share nutrients with each other and even water. And then yeah, making sure you have a variety of different things and not just like monocropping, making sure that you have the plants in the adequate places. Like here, like the bananas need more full sun, but also a lot of water. So making sure that they're at the lowest point of the property or on the edges of the property. And yeah, just mixing, the larger trees, and then under around the larger trees having shrubs, and around the shrubs having ground covers, and on the trees having vines and different things like that, to where everything kind of works synergistically and you can get the most out of the least amount of space. And yeah, like here you can really grow abundant sweet potatoes and, and certain squash, like Seminole squash or Seminole pumpkins, and bananas, coconuts, all these different tropical fruits that are extremely prolific and grow really fast, especially if you put them in the right place. Like where my friends have their food forests, it's close to a wetlands, and so the soil is super rich and always wet, so the plants just grow crazy there. And yeah, they have all kinds of stuff, and stuff that most people have never heard of, because if like a lot of those fruits go bad so quickly after you pick them that they can't be like mass produced in stores, so most people have never even heard of these things. But there's like so many delicious like crazy fruits that you never guess, even vegetables. And then growing stuff to feed animals, or yeah, to have like flowers to bring in the pollinators, and making sure that everything is in the right place. And yeah, just yeah, there's so many different things, like making sure you have like herbal medicines, and then the like useful plants that you can like Haitian or Jamaican basket vine, or Haitian basket vine, or something like that. You can easily like make baskets and stuff with it, because it grows so prolifically and it's such a sturdy fiber. And then there's like here like moringa trees grow, and you can use the leaves to make powder or smoothies or juices, and it's extremely nutritious. And um, yeah, there's just so many utilities that you can get from a little plot of land, if you do it adequately. And I have this awesome book, I think it's called Gaia's Garden, which is a really excellent resource for all kinds of permaculture. And yeah, just making sure that you know how to save seeds, and um, so you can not rely on like buying them from the store, or whatever. Just learn how to keep them yourself, and how to store them, how to grow plants for seed. It's really important, so that you can keep it going and learn how to choose the right species for the area, and for like once they start growing, to like take the strongest ones and take the seeds from those, are the best tasting ones. And Yeah, like Shilajit is also a great fertilizer. I've used it a lot. It's great for fertilizer and for mold and for pests. And um, there's different things that you can do, especially by growing certain plants that attract certain bugs and to eat the pests. And yeah, there's so so much to it, but at the end of the day, it's pretty simple. It's just growing what's good for the area and making sure that you like replicate an actual forest or something of the sort where things are dying and decomposing and there's mushrooms involved. And yeah, that's another excellent way to get food, is just like having logs and putting spawn in them and having mushrooms grow out of them for years.
Wow, that's extremely valuable. Excellent. I'm so glad that I remember. It just came to my mind when I was finishing up with thinking that I was going to finish up with this interview. So that's great, great, great information. And obviously, you can put this right in the soil. So you can, like, I would just say, I mean, you can just probably just take a little bit and just throw it out there because it's gonna get water and it's all gonna decompose anyway. But yeah, putting it, also dissolving it in water, like you said in our last interview, less than a pea size. So not very much, and you put that in a whole gallon of water. It's really cost effective, especially when you buy the larger container, and then just putting in your garden that way, and then all those minerals get in there. And definitely letting stuff decompose. Don't just, like, I just, someone down the street was burning their leaves. Total waste, in my opinion. Let that stuff decompose. Put it in a pile. Start lawn mowing it, and just let it break down. It's the whole. That's the whole point of it falling off the tree, is for it to decompose and get taken up back into the roots, just to
Right.
keep those minerals there. So it's super important. And then also, when I was mentioning dumpster dive, get some food that is bad. Get a whole big one of those big boxes of tomatoes that are all crap, or whatever it may be, whether it's zucchinis or whatever, bananas, and just throw that stuff out in your yard or something. Like, don't obviously throw meat because you're going to attract like the scavengers. But I mean, I threw so much stuff that I got from the dumpster around my property at my old house. And if you saw the amount of growth that was there from all those years of doing it, it's crazy. So just building your soil up in general is going to make gardening a lot easier. You're not going to be as deficient. Your plants are going to have a better immune system. They're going to be more resilient in terms of weather changes, or whatever it is, whether it's a high winds, name it. And then just find herbs are really easy. So start with some herbs. Lemon balm. It's basically like related to the mint family, and it's also medicinal. It helps with depression, helps with a bunch of different stuff. Lemon balm grows like a weed. It is super easy. You have to try to kill it. So just look up just really resilient plants in your neighborhood or in your area. Like you were saying, like, just know what your area is like and what grows best there. Just start there and just throw stuff out. Just compost, whether it's getting a worm bin, something
Right.
like that. So you can throw all your kitchen waste in there. Just have a little container that you have in your kitchen. Just throw all your stuff in there and just take it outside. Do whatever you got to do. Super simple. Just building that food soil web, taking advantage, using that as a team. They're part of your team. You're supposed to work together, not fight it by spraying pesticides and destroying the topsoil, pushing the worms away with all your salt, whatever additives that you put in the soil, whatever it may be. Just do what nature does. Go to the freaking redwood forest in California and tell me, and like, obviously there's no one just going there mulching or doing like fertilizing over there. These trees are massive for a reason. It's because the soil is just so dense with nutrients, and carcasses, animal carcasses are dying. They're pooping and peeing everywhere. All the leaves are falling. No one's coming up and picking that stuff up and making it look all nice and pretty. It's just doing what it's doing. That's the whole point. Just harnessing nature. And that's why also when it comes to like the moral aspect, just the way we live our lives, we can just see through our actions the causes or the effects that come about. Why are we in the state in the world? It's because of the actions that we're taking. It's because of the input and the way that we process it, and then the actions that we take based on that information. It's really, really simple. Just go with nature. If we're not doing something correctly, we're going to have some bad results, and we have to alter our decision making, not just throw more laws, throw more control around. So, same thing with gardening. If something's not working and you're seeing that worms aren't there, there's no mushrooms that you see popping up in the middle, like at some point, you know your soil's not doing that well. Just add the stuff to it. That's all it is. Throw some food waste, whatever it may be. If you have a good body and a good system and you're pretty healthy, start peeing everywhere. Pee outside. It's good
Yeah.
for it. So it's just, yeah, just being more mindful, just taking some solid steps and just doing your best. Take steps day by day just stay positive. Don't take things to the extreme. Don't think we're all just going to die and whatever else. And don't think that everything's going to be hunky dory and people are just going to save us from ourselves, or God's going to come swoop down and save us from ourselves. And just, just keep learning, keep growing. Just do what, like you said, do what you find fulfilling. Like, what things do you really find enjoyment from, genuinely, on a human level, not some man-made brain mind controlled stuff like just looking at Instagram and getting a bunch of dopamine. Get that natural dopamine, like you were talking about. Extremely important. Me just riding my bike before I started this interview, I feel great. I feel so much better. I feel so much more focused. I feel confident. I'm happy about it. I feel good about myself. And I wouldn't be feeling this way if I was playing video games before I went on here. I'd be feeling down. I wouldn't feel like I was doing anything that was worth my time, no purpose. So it's very important just to stay the course, just keep learning, keep growing, find community, find connections, find other like-minded men or women in your area, just building some, just having some sort of support system. Like you said, we're social creatures. We need to have that in some form, and just finding people that help elevate you, not people that are bringing you down, and try your best to be a leader. If there's people that are bringing you down, help bring them up, like just from your example, not from force or coercion, but just from inspiration and just influence, positive influence. So I want to just thank you so much, Nico. If you want to just let people know where they can find you, where they can support you, find the content that you're creating as well, because I know that you're on Instagram. So I'll have that stuff shared right now while you're talking. But I want to just stress how much I appreciate you being on here for a second time.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, man. I always enjoy speaking about all these things. Yeah, you have a great, perspective, and I appreciate that. So, yeah, our website is blacklotusshilajit.com, or it's also blacklotus.health. So some people don't know how to spell Shilajit. Makes it a little easier, blacklotus.health or blacklotusshilajit.com. And our Instagram is just blacklotusshilajit. You can check it out there. My personal Instagram is Earth Titan 11, I think, or something like that. And I don't go on there too much. I haven't posted in a long time, but yeah, definitely, I have posted in the past and have some cool, experiences. So definitely feel free to reach out, and love to chat. So yeah, thank you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a very fun conversation. I was trying to make it under an hour. Yeah, good luck with that. My interviews recently have been so long. I'm gonna have such a fun time editing these things and adding images and stuff like that. So if people haven't seen our first interview, if you want to know a little bit more about Trilogy, I know we covered it a bit here, but he breaks it down and just blew my mind when we talked about it. So I have it in the description. I also have it in the comment section here. So I also edited that one, added images, music. It's just a lot more engaging, and it goes along with some of the things we talk about. So I definitely recommend that one. It was a great conversation, really, really well done. And so, yeah, thanks again, Nico. I really appreciate it. If you just want to stay on the line while I take us out, and so we can talk for a little bit.
Sure.
Um, Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Thank you for the comments and the questions. Thank you, Marquez, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. You're very welcome. Thank you for watching. It really means a lot to me. And yeah, just take care, everyone. Stay safe. Keep prepping and just be positive. All right.
Blessings. Thank you.